But yeah, like every other podcast we ever have, we pretend there's an agenda, and then Brian drags us off topic inevitably. Welcome the audience to the season finale for season 9 of Mention and Dispatches here. BB Mike, we've made it 9 seasons. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah. All of them. So yeah, we're all kinds of getting. So this is 4.5 years of podcasting because we do 2 seasons per year, right? A fall season and a spring season. And so we are wrapping up our fall 2022 season. And so we brought a crowd along to wrap up the season finale. And so you heard the dulcet sounds of Mike Colello there. You also heard Brian is back. He was chuckling in the background during our intro there. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great.
How are the renovations on the Tiki Bar and Rum Lounge coming?
The Tiki Bar is pretty much complete. Still collecting. You could always put more stuff on the walls. The next big purchase is going to be 2 rattan chairs to go with the rattan table that's in the Tiki Bar, which is quite expensive, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I have to imagine because I haven't actually gone and priced out rattan furniture lately. So I'll take your word for it. And then speaking of things that I am loath to price out, our buddy OJ's dad, the other Mike, is back and he got to pay for a wedding this year. So, dude, I feel for you, man. But welcome back.
Thank you.
You've been traveling a bunch this season because we keep saying, hey, can you make this? And you're like, nah, I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the road. What the heck?
Does that work? Can I say that too?
Yes, it works. You'd actually have to have a job though that you travel.
Well, he'll never know.
Yeah, well, BB Mike's last travels that I was aware of, he and I were hanging out a weekend. As people are listening to this, it's going to be about 2.5 weeks ago. As we published stuff, the Jeff Con wrap-up article went up. It was supposed to be yesterday. I had saved the draft and never hit publish. So it went out today before Tuesday Newsday. But Mike was there for Jeff Con. So Mike, for the folks that are just listening to the podcast and not reading articles on our site, first of all, they suck. But second of all, tell them what you thought of Jeff Con and how it all went down.
Well, I'll just say it was my first smaller convention, and I really liked it. It was a lot different in feel, and it was just a totally different experience. So I'm looking forward to doing some more of the smaller cons in the future. Yeah,
I think the ratio of gameplay to everything else is way skewed in favor of gameplay at those smaller conventions.
I will say that this one, at Origins, we already feel like we're the minority, the being war gamers there. And at this convention, this Jeff Con convention, I think we were the only table that I would legitimately say was playing war games.
Yeah, it depends on where you categorize BattleTech and or Hull Breach, but that's about as far as you're going to stretch it, right? So
I think so. I mean, and they were playing Isle of Cats, so you might be able to make that into a war game. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Brian,
it was in the war game room.
What was in so for those that haven't seen the video that I shot at the convention, there's one massive ballroom down one of the hallways, and it's got the room dividers. So they divided it into 5 smaller rooms, and we were in the middle room. The 2 on either side of us were almost all RPGs, and the one we were in was a bunch of tabletop gaming. The problem with so I've been to Jeff Con before. Well, Mace, when it was known as Mace, it was Jeff Con in honor of the founder who had passed away earlier this year, and this was the last Mace, so this was Jeff Con in Jeff's honor. At previous Maces that I've been to, they've had that thing split into maybe 2 rooms where they were much bigger. And Mike, I know you noticed this, that the sound was bouncing all over those walls where we were, and our room was loud.
It was, and I think I said this in my write-up. Compared to Origins, though, I didn't think it was like that. Like Origins was a different grade of loudness to me.
Well, yeah, because you're in an aircraft hangar, you're in a concrete aircraft hangar, and so you've got 10,000 people echoing.
With wrestler dudes screaming to amplify it even more, right? Yeah, so the sound I didn't think was really all that bad. I mean, it was bad for what it was, I guess, but
Well, our room was noticeably louder than all the others, which, the RPG room, some of those weird RPG guys are like, don't make a sound, like must stay in character. But even with those guys talking, the RPG rooms were significantly quieter than the room we were in. And it wasn't because of us. It's just that room was a little louder and a little more claustrophobic than I think it needed to be. But we had folks come sit down and play some games with us, chatted with a couple of others, generally had a good time. I think a couple of the other people in our room looked at us like we were a little on the weird side, which is not undeserved, but some of those smaller conventions can be a lot of fun. For folks that are interested in possibly coming and checking out another one of those smaller conventions, we will be at Buckeye Game Fest in the spring. That one is fairly war game heavy. That one happens in April every year in Columbus, Ohio. Maybe if we lean on him hard enough, we can get Brian to make the drive and show up. Mike, if you're not on the road, we're commuting distance for you to come in there and come see us. And it only costs you like $5 or whatever to get in for the day and come play some war games with us over in the war room, which Ardwolf is the guy that sort of organizes the war room stuff for Buckeye Game Fest now. So maybe we can lean on OJ's dad to commute himself down to Columbus for a day and come check us out with Buckeye Game Fest.
I think it's a lot better deal than Origins.
Yeah, if you're there for playing games, it definitely is. A good chunk of what you're paying for at Origins is all of the other stuff besides just the gameplay, right? The giant vendor hall, some of the other programming, especially the stuff at Origins University and the War College. You're paying for a lot of the other stuff. So, Brian, how many, if any, game conventions have you ever made it to?
One.
Better than none.
And a local one at that. So nothing all that big. To be honest, the bigger game conventions don't. This part of my life, being part of big crowds and stuff like that, just not my thing. So these smaller conventions are definitely more up my alley.
Yeah. No, I as somebody who's done both really big ones and really small ones, I totally get it, man. I totally understand. I think the small ones are definitely much more gameplay focused, and there is something to be said for just, paying $5-10, whatever, and just showing up and doing nothing but playing games for 14 hours. I think there's definitely something very cool about that.
And with Tabletop Simulator, do we even really need the conventions, Brent?
Somebody, lean over and smack him upside the head. I did not invite Cyrano for a reason.
To me, it was hilarious to hear Jim complain about conventions because of all of the people. It was surreal to hear him complain about that.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, you're the multiplayer guy.
Griping about people. And the funny thing is, like, one of the best parts of being at those big conventions is the walk by traffic that stops and goes, hey, what the hell are they doing? And then gets interested and, comes back and plays and really has a great time just because they happen to walk by and see something and go, what the hell are they doing? When he was the architect behind one of the biggest showstoppers we've ever had at Origins, and that was the year we did the legit blind Kriegspiel where we had all the study carols, the little portable cardboard, table dividers set up so that everybody could only see the map right in front of themselves. And folks are walking by going like, are they taking the LSATs? Like, what the hell's going on? Because that's what it looked like. And we had a ton of people. We did a dress rehearsal on Wednesday night. We didn't charge people to play in that one, but we told them, like, at any time we could stop and reset the entire scenario because we're doing this to test out a couple of things with the scenario, but also to make sure that our GMs are comfortable with the way everything needs to flow. And everybody was cool with that. Like, nobody bitched about the fact that, we might change stuff in the middle of a free event. Everybody was fine. But we had a lot of folks walk by going, what the heck is going on here? And then we told them what was going on. And they all came back Friday night to play in the real one, which was pretty neat. And you don't get that in a virtual convention. And like, that was all Cyrano's fault. He was the reason we were doing all that. And now he's the one saying, we don't need to do that anymore. So
yes, I got a big kick out of the whole conversation.
For those unsure of what we are referencing, go hit our YouTube page. I've got the link down below in the show notes down below. But when Ardwolf was traveling back from Compass Con, because they drove to and from Connecticut, he was on the road when he would have normally been live on Monday night. And so Cyrano and I filled in. We took over that time slot for him that night, so folks still had a Monday night show they could drop in on. And that's what we were talking about, was convention stuff, and Jim asking, why do we even need conventions anymore? And he got.
And what did Ardwolf bring back with him?
That's right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that, but Saturday night we did a double blind of Spearhead, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. What would it have taken to do that at a convention with miniatures?
Oh, it would have been a massive undertaking. I am not at all poo-pooing the level of effort that it would take to pull something like that off in the physical space. The point that I was making is, without that effort to pull it off in the physical space, you get 0 people walk by and go, what is that? That looks kind of cool. How often does somebody ever stumble into the chat on YouTube on Saturday Night Fights and go, I was just sort of surfing around YouTube and this looked kind of neat, so I thought I'd pop in and see what's going on. Right? It's been 4 years of Saturday Night Fights. Has that happened once, twice?
I don't know about picking it up maybe during live, but we've been picking up people.
We've picked up some people. We've picked up a bunch of wargamers who have had it referenced to them. Hey, you should check out this wargaming thing.
Yeah, I don't think, the problem is neither one is strong enough to kill off the other right now, especially at the technology level. You're not going to do away with conventions. You're not going to do away with digital gaming, and you shouldn't. I think we should have both. That's really what it's all about. Choice,
it's the best of both worlds. I agree.
Yeah. So why not do both and all get along?
Yeah, totally. Neither one should want to kill off the other. I think they are absolutely complementary to each other.
Yeah.
So,
especially when you take into account the cost factor for tabletop simulator, especially when it comes to miniatures, which I don't dabble in, but I'm glad I don't because of the costs.
Yeah. Well, that and the arts and crafts factor, right?
Yes.
The amount of time it's going to take you to deal with stuff. All right, so we started doing this last year. It's going to kind of become our fall tradition as we wrap up our fall season. We're gonna take a look back on the past year in gaming with the crew we've got here, but also hand out a couple of sort of holiday wargaming wishes. And so your wishes for the wargaming community as the holidays are upon us. If you had one of the magic Christmas ornaments from the cheesy Hallmark movies that you could make some wargaming wishes come true, what would those wishes be? And as you guys ponder that for a moment, I'm going to throw a first one out there. And this is going to sound a little silly to some folks, and this is absolutely a very selfish wish. I need every wargame company on the planet to quit making product announcements from between noon on Tuesday and 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Just fucking stop it, guys. Seriously. I'm getting real sick of hitting publish on Tuesday, Newsday, and 5 minutes later, a tweet pops up. Hey, we've just announced this brand new game that's for sale. It's like, God dang it, y'all couldn't have held up. Like, either hold off an extra day or send me the heads up Tuesday morning so it's waiting for me when I'm compiling Tuesday, Newsday. Just cut it out with the Tuesday afternoon product announcements. It's getting old.
But their Christmas wish is for you to move Tuesday, Newsday to Thursday.
Yeah, except that doesn't rhyme. We have Throwback Thursday stuff we're supposed to be doing on Thursdays. So, yeah, Tuesday, Newsday. It's Tuesday for a reason. Come on, people.
Because it rhymes.
Because it rhymes. Quit making product announcements at 6 p.m. on Tuesday afternoons. You guys are driving me nuts. All right, I'm off my soapbox. That's my first holiday wargaming wish. Brian, what do you got?
Oh, well, I will be selfish as well. I think I've brought this up before, but block war games, okay? I don't have a problem with block war games. What I have a problem with is having to put the damn stickers on the block. Okay, I'm freaking 50 years old. I can hardly see anything in front of me at this point, and you want me to freaking take stickers and stick them on these blocks? It's painful for me. It's painful. For me, guys.
I'm having deja vu over here. I think he started off with this one last year too.
but Brian has a point though in that Hollenspiel's Siege of Mantua game has silk screened blocks. They are pre-printed on the blocks. Now, they're not going to be as pretty as some of the full color stickers that you'd otherwise have to stick on the blocks.
Right.
But clearly, we have the ability to print stuff directly on the blocks. Never mind some of the laser etching kind of stuff that Steve from Blue Panther's probably madly trying to figure out right now.
They don't even have to do all that fancy stuff. Just put the damn sticker on the block for me.
Well, that's a lot more manual labor than I think you realize.
There's got to be a machine that can do this.
Probably. And Steve probably has one hooked up to the end of a production machine somewhere, because Blue Panther's got one of those giant Dr. Seuss contraptions that like he just goes and hits a button and then a finished game spits out the other end, right?
I'll pay $5 more for the game.
I think, is it Vento Nuovo? Somebody that's got block games actually has a stickering service you can pay for. I'm okay. I'm going to stall for time. BB Mike, Wargaming Wish, while I look up the answer to Brian's question here.
Well, I could start off with the same one I started off with last year, and that's my my good old games version for board games. But I'm going to throw a new one out. I'm going to say that one of my wishes for next year is that that Ardwolf has great luck with the Charles S. Roberts Awards and reshaping those. One big hope for the new year.
Nobody can see us because this is a podcast. I am hoisting a cider in appreciation of your suggestion.
Yeah, excellent.
So
they couldn't have got a better guy for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we've had Gary on the show, not to gripe about the CSRs directly, but Jim and I brought, because we're the three amigos that, have done nothing but bitch about the Charlies for 3 years now. We brought Gary onto the show to talk a bunch about sort of what happened and where he's going and some of the direction that he wants to take it, and what are some of the ideas they've considered, and quite frankly, some of the ones they'd rejected, and what did we think about it all. So folks that want to go check out that episode, it's in the back episodes. Go take a listen. But I do think you're right. There is definitely hope that it will be handled better at this point. So that would be nice. OJ's dad, talk to us, man. What do you got?
Publishers. If you have no intention of publishing a game ever again, go to Wargame Vault, do it yourself, but sell the PDF version of the rule set so those of us that want to play it can get the rules.
Amen.
Not having to pay inflated used market prices, or do a print to play version of it or something.
Yeah.
So
lots of games out there that people, we're just talking about, right? You have Vassal, you have TTS, you have people that will print their own counters, or whatever. But
yeah, exactly. Like you said, and I think we said this last year too, but I think to get those publishers to put those into Tabletop Simulator would be fantastic. Think of it would be just as good as having the board game in some cases.
Sell it as DLC for TTS, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can do, but you're sitting on a lot of IP that people are willing to pay a few bucks for. We're not asking you to go back and rebox up games. There's plenty of people that would be happy to see that, but we know that's not going to happen.
Do you have something specific?
I don't know, Napoleonic, CNC Napoleonics, the basic sets.
Yeah, that's out of print. I would love to own a copy of that.
Yeah, just go to GMT, and I'm not picking on GMT. To everybody, just go to GMT and look at everything that's on their website and just say, this is out of print, and they're not going to have any intention of ever printing it again.
Which is why they can do the big 50% off sale on everything that's in print. Right?
Well, and last year I was able to participate in that because I had a P500 that I purchased, and I'm looking at everything, and it's either an add-on to something that you can't get the base game for, or it was something I had absolutely no interest in.
Yeah.
And just looking at everything.
Yeah, I think the in terms of the devil's advocate, right, putting on the analyst hat here real quick, I think the biggest challenge you will run into for a bunch of the things that you might like to see somewhere like a Wargaming Vault is some of the IP may not be all that clear. For instance, if you wanted to try and put Ranger from Omega Games up on Wargaming Vault, who owns the IP on that one? Bill passed away 6-7 years ago, 5 years ago. Well, it's more than 5 now. His wife has tried to continue to fulfill orders, but there's nobody really developing Ranger at this point. Who would even go through putting that up there? Where does the IP reside? Is the company still going to continue to exist? What's going to happen with those guys? Matrix Games stepped in to help get Rule the Waves cleaned up when Chris Dean passed and NWS dissolved. But, Fresno Game Association games, who still owns the IP on those things? Where's all the IP reside from the different games that Victory Point Games were publishing? Some of those things were returned to the creator. Some of them stayed with the publisher.
And that's fine. I'm talking about publishers that are still doing things.
You're talking.
I'm talking about games that are 10 years old that they have no intention of ever publishing again. Do something with that. That there are, forget the IP IP, who owns the rights to do that? Let's deal with the stuff that you have clearer understanding of.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question, and I don't want to sidetrack us here too much, but I think it's on
Dude, it's the
GMT.
podcast. That's what we do.
I think it's on GMT site where they have the P500 and what's in stock, but I think there's another thing that says games that will never be printed again or something like that, right?
I don't think it specifically says that, does it?
Let me go
I
look.
don't know.
I'm sitting in front of a
I know
computer. I can
Apple
tell you.
Express does.
I think it's GMT.
I'm going to look since we're all sitting in front
Well,
of
I think
we're all going to go look.
I think if you look at a lot of publisher sites, a lot of them will say it's out of print, right?
Sure.
So usually out of print means they probably don't have any goals of going back and redoing anything with it again, right?
Well, I think at that point they own the IP and they probably have all of the files properly set up to run through a printer. The question is, does it make economic sense to hit the go button on that?
Okay, here it is. And Brian's right. It doesn't say exactly what I said. It says forever out of stock legacy games.
Where on GMT's site is that?
So if you go to their search where it says games, look at all games.
Yep.
And then it scroll down in the series, not the series type. Where did I see it? It's in
the
departments. Yep. Out of stock, reprintable, reprint eligible games. So they're telling you that I guess they still have the license, but there's
I guess so, Brent. They could easily answer this like with GMT, right? They could do another P500 on that game and answer their own question. Can they hit another P500? If they can, send it back to the printer. If what you're saying is right, and all they have to do is tell the printers, hey, go with this again, they can do that. But they don't seem to be doing that. At least if they set up the P500 or whatever, maybe they say, hey, since it's a reprint, we only need 300 or whatever, and they only get 100 people interested. Then you can say, hey, we tried this. We only had 100 people interested. Maybe we'll try it again in a couple of years to see if there's more interest at that point. But at some point, you're I don't know.
So you're talking rationally, like that.
Well.
These companies, we could just look at, the page that Mike showed us here. And just looking on the first page, I can see 3 or 4 games that I think would do outstanding if they re-released them. Okay.
So just to be clear, under departments, there are 2 sections, not the out of stock reprint eligible. There's one called forever out of stock legacy games. So that's telling me that they will never have these in stock again. Now, it doesn't say anything about what the licensing situation is. But and like you said, if you look at these games, I think they have the license. I mean, there's this Blue versus Gray Civil War card game. I think that was one of their first games.
And you know what? How easy would it be though to put it right here on here? Put a note in there. You click on your Blue and Gray that you just mentioned, I think. And, we do not own the IP. We cannot sell this digitally, whatever, and that's fine. At least you're putting something out there to let people know where the future possibly lies on this, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Who knows? Maybe they've even published some of these that they don't have the IP and they can't reprint them.
Right.
Maybe. That's entirely possible. One of the checks, I think, and not that we're going to sit here and go through like game by game, of GMT's archive there, but go look at who the designers are, right? If Gene Billingsley was the designer, they probably still have the rights to it. And they may choose not to reprint it because the game system didn't hold up, or it would cost too much to redo the art, or maybe it just didn't sell the first time. Even if they put it up on P500 and they get their copies in, at a certain point, if you're selling one every 3 months and it takes you 9 years to sell out of it, how much space did that take up in your warehouse that you could have had something else that was moving a little quicker?
No,
GMT's been around a long time, selling a lot of good games, and staying in business. They don't need business advice from me for sure.
I noticed they re-released some of these games, like the American Revolution ones, like Golford, and there's another one on here. They were Saratoga. They were released those as a tri-pack, I believe, later on.
To get back to the point with Brian, that I said, hey, you guys answer this question while I go look this up. Vento Nuovo does offer a stickering service for Orange Swan, and I think it's Black Swan. It costs you 25 euros for them to sticker the game for you, but it's like 150 something blocks for them to do.
Right.
So the other thing that I think is probably worth keeping in mind as a part of that is if they mess something up, they're going to walk over to their giant stack of spare stickers and pull another one off and fix it for you. Where if you mess it up, you're just stuck with a messed up block.
Yep.
That's not stickered well. So that's on you. So the
well, I'll go back to one thing I said earlier too. And why do we even have the stupid blocks if we don't need them? In a game like Command and Colors, you do not need stickered blocks. You can have a counter that would work just as well. There's no hidden information in Command and Colors.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. The fact that Memoir 44 uses essentially the same system and does it with figures instead of blocks tells you don't need the blocks. Battle Cry, the Battle Lore, like we've done these with minis instead of blocks before. So that's you're right. You don't need it. But if they didn't have it, then we couldn't drive Brian nuts by having non-stickered blocks.
I mean, you could even use standees, with a nice looking standee, it's information on it.
That's fine until you've got, Darth Vader across the table from you, some heavy breather that sneezes and takes out half your army.
Well, that's true.
The blocks are less likely to blow over if you cough. So
I think if you listen to the last podcast that Ian said we could use Legos in place of the blocks too.
You absolutely could. You absolutely could. I think Legos were one of several different options that he gave you to be able to use if that works for him. A round of Wargaming Wishes under our belt. Let's take a moment and take a look back over this past year in terms of the wargaming that we've done over the past year. OJ's dad, Mike, any guess as to how many of the online games you've played in with Cyrano over the course of the past year? You've got to be pushing
probably
100,
average.
huh?
Yeah, probably average 2 a week.
Yeah. 2 a week over 50 weeks. I mean, you're hitting 100 games there pretty easily.
Yeah, pretty close. Maybe definitely mid 90s, I would say, by the end of the year.
Yeah. Have you pulled up TTS to get any wargaming in other than with Jim's group on those Saturday Night Fights and Wednesday Night Warfare and Thursday Night Throwdown?
No.
Yeah. See, that's it, not picking on you, but like, I'm not sure very many of you guys at all in his game, the little gaming tribe that he's built there are doing a lot of gaming other than with that. Now, part of it is you don't need to, right? 3 nights a week, you've got plenty of gaming on your hands there. But I wonder, certainly don't wish Cyrano any ill will. If Jim got hit by a bus tomorrow, what happens to that game group? Like, the whole thing's going to end up disintegrating, which is unfortunate that it's not more self-sustaining than that. But I think it's a testament to Jim's enthusiasm for it all.
Keep in mind though, Jim doesn't usually almost never plays, right? He's the game master.
Yep.
So he's so it's a little bit different where you wouldn't be losing a player, you'd be losing the person that runs the games, that sets up everything. On the reverse side, there's a number of people that could probably step in and run the games. And then learn how to put the tables together. I could put a table together. Maybe not quite as good as Jim right now, but I've messed around with that before. It'd just be a matter of time. Jim thankfully has the time to do this piece and consistently run 3 games a night. Or 3 games a week, excuse me.
Plus whatever Kriegspiel he's busy running in the forum.
Yeah, he's running one of those right now, at least one that I'm in.
Yeah. I think there's a reason nobody's recruited him to any of our multiplayer Steam games at this point.
Well, for more traditional gaming, counter gaming using Tabletop Simulator, I'm going back and forth between it and Vassal, trying to figure out which I like better, which I don't dislike as much is more the case.
For me, between the two, once you get past the learning curve for Tabletop Simulator, there's no looking back for me. And I get that there's certain things that Vassal can do that Tabletop Simulator can't, but it's not that much more.
So what do you like about Tabletop so much compared to Vassal?
It's more like sitting at a table and playing a game. I like to pick the pieces up, and it's just more, you're getting closer to playing a physical board game for me.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Vassal, and I don't know that I've actually ever done a game with anybody else in Vassal, but is the ability to play without both of you being on at the same time.
Yeah. You can play by email easier on that than I think. You could probably hack something together with Tabletop Simulator. I don't want to say you can't do it because then somebody will show up and prove us wrong. but I think it's easier to do on Vassal because I think that was one of the features that was expressly designed in some number of years ago. For me personally, I've just never mastered the interface on Vassal. Tabletop Simulator is very intuitive because visually, like Brian said, it looks like you're sitting around a tabletop. And I can handle the interface on Tabletop Simulator a lot easier than Vassal. And I'm a dude that does interface design stuff as a part of the IT project management I do, and I can't stand the Vassal interface. So
it really depends on what module you're using. I've found as far as Tabletop Simulator goes, some of them are very well done, while others you're just trying to draw 6 cards is a big chore. It all depends on who. I was tooling around with For the People, Mark Herman's Civil War game, and there's like 3 different ones out there for Tabletop Simulator. So trying to find the one that hits the sweet spot for you, that's key.
Yeah.
Well, you can also modify those things too, right? So if you find one that gets close, you can modify it to make it exactly what you want. But again, you've got to learn the interface to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the beauty of having all the choices is, as you say, the beauty of having all the choices is find the one that you like and go with that.
Yeah, and another thing I'll say about Tabletop Simulator versus Vassal, and this is just me again, if you're going to teach somebody a game and they're going to play the game, a physical copy of the game, Tabletop Simulator is the way to go, because Vassal is great at streamlining and making things simple. And that's wonderful if you're playing a game multiplayer with somebody. But if you're trying to teach somebody, here's how to play the physical board game, some of the stuff gets lost in Vassal, where Tabletop Simulator, it's just like you're playing the board game. The pieces are the same. The way you move them are the same. It's all there.
Yeah, you have virtual hands, pretty much. You could point out things,
Here's where the discards go. Here's where the dice go. You can show them, here's how your physical board game will look when you're moving these pieces. Vassal has a lot of excellent housekeeping stuff in it, where you press a button and the cards are gone. Well, where the hell they go?
Yep.
It's just a little easier to teach. That's just my opinion, though.
All right, so OJ's dad, somewhere around 100-ish games through Tabletop Simulator with Jim's crew. Have you done much gaming not with Jim's crew?
Mostly just PC gaming. Almost all of it's been PC.
Yeah, so I haven't managed to get anything else to the real analog tabletop. Huh?
Yeah, now I have been doing Gettysburg, the old John Tiller Gettysburg with our friend the Command Tent. Mm-hmm. Been doing a play by email of that for a little while now. So,
okay.
Now, talking about the Tiller games, who were owned by somebody else now. I forget. Does anybody
War Game Design Group?
There you go. I have one problem. I enjoy the games, but I do have one problem with them. And this isn't just these games, but you could describe this across games and war games in general, is that you are specifically pointing to units that your units are firing at. Okay. When you're playing a tactical operational level game, okay, that's nowhere, that's nothing like reality. Okay. A unit's going to shoot pretty much what is closest to it, what it perceives as the biggest threat. You're not going to be able to say this unit shoots at this unit shoots at this unit, and so forth. Just a little pet peeve of mine in general as far as wargaming goes. And I think the game that has done the best job of, alleviating that is a modern day PC war game. They just came out, Southern Storm, I believe, where basically where pretty much the units, they figure out what they're going to fire at based on threat. And, you could put a unit somewhere, but you don't get to choose who he's going to shoot at. Now, that was problematic a lot because, your unit would be shooting at some Jeeps or something instead of the tanks that were right behind it. But they seem to have started to smooth that out. And, the AI is starting to figure out things. So just a little pet peeve for those type of games.
So, Brian, your wargaming over the past year, as you look back on 2022 and what you played, whether it's digital or tabletop, what stands out? Give us a sense of the depth and breadth of what you were playing and sort of what stands out to you about it.
Well, last time I was on the podcast, I told you I was learning Paths of Glory. And, everybody talks about Paths of Glory, World War I strategic game. It's a true classic and everything. I found myself not enjoying it as much as I would have liked or thought I was going to. And the main reason is it's one of those war games that has a ton of exceptions in it, especially once you get out for the combat in the Middle East, Lawrence of Arabia crap, stuff like that. It's just exception after exception. And trying to memorize all these exceptions or go back and look through all these exceptions can get a little tedious. So I like it, but it was one of the first card-driven war games, and I think, there's others that have surpassed it since it has came out.
Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of times where we find that true of the first in the series in many cases. There's been a lot of developments to the Coin series since Andy and Abyss. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of developments to the Commands and Colors series over the years, right? There's been a lot of developments to all kinds of different series over the years that sometimes leave the original one. You go back to it, you sort of kind of scratching your head and going, this seems a little clunky because you haven't had the opportunity to kind of clean it up.
Well, so there is a second edition being printed now by GMT. So have they actually gone back and cleaned up some of what you're talking about?
It's a reprint of the edition I already have of the
so nothing
edition. New. Yeah, it's nothing new. Nice. I think a good general rule to follow is, for game design is that the less exceptions is the better. That the game, the system that you're using, stands up to everything that you can run into in the game. I know that's never usually going to happen, but, that's what the goal should be.
Yeah. All right. So Paths of Glory, what else?
Well, on the PC front, I tried the Grand Tactician Civil War game. When I haven't played it in a few months, but the artificial intelligence was just driving me up a wall. So I shelved it for a while and said I'll come back to it. What I really been having the most fun with is Total War 3 Warhammer. That game is an absolute blast, and it has a lot more strategic depth than you would ever think for a Warhammer game. I'm very impressed with the whole thing. And I'm talking about the Grand Campaign where you have all the continents and everything. It's really fascinating to watch and a lot of fun to play. I actually find the strategic level almost as much fun at this point as, the tactical level of the game.
So wait, Warhammer's got a strategic. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm poking fun. I'm needling. So, anything physical, like real, not on the PC, old-fashioned analog, put it on the tabletop and play.
Well,
you get the kids of gaming with you.
Well, I got the whole family right now. Not necessarily war game. We're playing Role Player Adventures. I don't know if you ever played the original Role Player, but this is the counterpart to it that was pretty much it turned everything into a long Dungeons and Dragons campaign. It has like individual modules. You create characters. We played the first module so far, and we had a pretty good time. Some rough spots trying to figure out things at first, but a lot of fun. So, huge game, by the way. Giant box. We're talking, I don't know. It's freaking huge. But, enjoying the hell out of that. And pretty much the premise is that you have to make your dice. You have dice of different colors, and you have to say, in order to kill something, you'll need a blue 3, a green 4, and a red 5. You're going to roll dice, and using the cards you have, you're going to have to manipulate the dice to match those in order to kill the things. So it's light. It's got a story. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
BB Mike, I know at least Bayonets and Tomahawks and Assault Red Horizon 41 hit the table for you this year because I was there. Those were two of the Origins events that you had. What else, besides what we've seen on My Own Worst Enemy, what else, if anything, has hit the table for you?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Bayonets, Tomahawks, and Assault Red Horizon because those are actually two games that surprised me into just how good they were. I mean, those turned out to be really, really good games. And I think Bayonets and Tomahawks, I think, really took off. I think that was one of the better sellers for GMT. So that was kind of neat to see. What have I played off the table? Not a whole lot. Everything tends to be, related to the channel. So lately when I'm playing a game, you're seeing me play it, right? That's part of the deal. And it goes back to what I said. You're actually seeing me play this game, but I do my best to teach it best I can. It's not strictly a learning thing for people, but I am trying to show you how to play it so that you can see what I do and actually go back and try it yourself if you're interested. One of the things I did earlier, I think in the year, was the Across 5 Aprils and the Battle Hymn playthroughs, and that was really neat to play the older Across 5 Aprils and then kind of contrast that to kind of like what Brian was alluding to, the updated Battle Hymn, where the rules had changed a little bit, and it was to talk about those differences and how it played out. So that was kind of cool. Solitaire wise, I'm trying to think of solitaire games I played. I guess Midway Solitaire stood out. That was kind of another unexpectedly, in a positive way, a fun game. If you like solitaire games, I highly recommend that one. And then the one I've got playing now, CSA American Civil War from Ben Madison, that was really surprised me in just how much fun that is. I'm having a lot of fun playing that game, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when that gets reprinted and how it's received. I think it's a neat system, and there's a lot of things I haven't encountered before, and it's just a lot of fun to play. It's at a high level. You're moving generals with their armies attached to them, and it's really neat.
Yeah, I've been watching you play that. It definitely needs a component upgrade. I'll say that much. But
yeah,
the actual game
the one
itself
Mike's
is
playing
very
in his
intriguing.
defense. I mean, that thing's 15 years old at this point, maybe older.
Yes, and it's from a publisher, a Fiery Dragon, that is not even around anymore. They're around, but they're not doing war games, so it is an older game.
Yeah, so the guys that are currently running Fiery Dragon have stepped away from war game stuff. Even the war game stuff they were doing was always pretty small things. And Ben Madison was kind of an oddball one-off sort of thing in there. They published several things from Brian Train, several things from Kerry Anderson. They had a couple of smaller things that they had done from some guys that have gone on to great success elsewhere, but that was sort of some of their first early attempts. And the production values are barely one step above the old metagaming little tuck box games from the early 80s.
Yeah. So the neat thing about CSA, and I'm going to sing the praises of Ben Madison and Wes Ernie again. It's not, you're not railroaded into historical outcomes. There's random events, like, the first battle I had, Battle of Manassas, the Union kicked the Confederates all the way back to Richmond. It was crazy. And just the random events you can have. I'm looking forward to playing his World War I game, Death in the Trenches.
I just bought that.
So that's going to be interesting. I'll eventually get a playthrough that on the channel. But yeah, it's really, really cool stuff.
Now the question is, for these type of games, there's not a whole lot of maneuver going on, so to speak, because of the limited amount of hexes. Both for this American Civil War game and for Death in the Trenches. So, are you? Well, I don't want to say you're not playing the game, but it's more of a simulator of the conflict, so to speak.
No, see, I would disagree with that. You do have to maneuver, because if you look at the map, there's actually black thick lines where you cannot move your armies. You have to, if I want to go to Richmond from Washington, it's not a straight line. I've got to actually follow. And I don't know. And this is one thing I guess I need to ask Ben. I don't know if it was done to model the historical path they took, or there's some geographical feature that causes you to move that way. But you have to maneuver.
Yeah. I mean, there is some maneuver, but just based on the limited amount of hexes that are available, there's only so much maneuvering you can do.
Yeah, it's not operational level. I think you're above that even, right?
yeah. I mean, what is it? There's 3 hexes between Washington D.C. and Richmond in this game, I believe.
Yeah, you're getting up to strategic. Yeah, it's getting pretty high up there.
So, as far as maneuvering and that, I enjoy these games just to play them out, just to see the alternate history that can happen with him. He seems to do a really good job with that.
Yeah.
I will tell you that even today, getting from Richmond to DC can be a real pain in the ass, because there's only like 3 bridges over the Rappahannock for 100 miles in either direction. And if there's an accident near one of them, the other 2 are immediately overwhelmed by traffic. And you might as well just like drive to the coast and hope for the best.
Yeah. I drove from Fredericksburg to Gettysburg. And let me tell you, I thought it was taking as long as General Lee took. I mean,
that's why
my closest friends all choking on car exhaust.
That's why McClellan took boats to start the Peninsular Campaign, right?
There you go.
He knew the traffic was too heavy going down 95. He couldn't.
Because everybody got backed up at the merge in Quantico, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. So, Mike, what else we got there? Anything?
That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
What's the current PDF count over at Drive Through RPG?
I quit looking. That's embarrassing.
I added a few this week, man. I had some Kickstarters come in that I got the PDF versions for free, and so they've now been added to the drive-through RPG library. So I feel you. That's what made me think of it was adding these couple to the library. Going, oh man, some people would totally laugh at me, but Mike would know exactly how I feel.
Speaking of Kickstarters, I just I backed Oath. I don't know if you've heard about it. Oathsworn, and it $130. Better work out. But everybody's raving about this game, so
this isn't related to the Ironsworn stuff.
No, it's a different thing.
Okay.
Ironsworn's the RPG series, and then there's
Oathsworn Back into the Woods or some crap like that. I forget what the hell the full title is.
Yeah, you're the one that Brian is talking about is as Cyrano likes to describe it, a lot of minis porn involved.
Well, I got the version without the minis.
Oh, okay.
And I am so happy that they gave us a choice of a version with or without minis. My stance on minis.
Does your version come with blocks you have to sticker of all these creatures?
No, not that either. Standees, which hopefully nobody sneezes. But but while we're talking about Kickstarter, one of the saddest but kind of funny things is the one Kickstarter board game that I bought that basically the designer took off on the lam, took everybody's money, and never put out a game. It was a pirate game, so kind of appropriate.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that one. I can kind of see that one. That's kind of pathetic, actually. I mean, not on your part, on their part, but it is kind of pathetic. So.
Yeah, it was pretty. I can't remember what it was called. It was a beautiful looking game. It never got published, obviously, but the designer, who had a pretty big social media presence, totally dropped off the face of the earth, wasn't answering anything. And we're not getting my hopes up that it'll ever come out.
A bunch of the gameplay that I've done has been at conventions and meetups over the past year. So I was at Buckeye Game Fest back in April. I also it was at Origins, and then Jeff Con. I did attend Southern Front, but I was there just taking pictures and talking to folks. I wasn't there actually playing anything. But we've had our monthly meetups that we've done for Wargaming Day over at Gamers Armory here in town. And it's kind of funny because I got Mike. I talked to Mike. It's like, hey, can we get Wargame Day back on the schedule? He said, boom, done. First Sunday of every month. That was in June when he said, or at the end of May when he set all that up. So the first one was going to be in June. And of course, where was I the first weekend of June? I was up in Ohio prepping for Origins because I go up the weekend before and visit some family while I'm up there before Origins start. And so I got him to put Wargame Day back on the calendar, and then I missed the first one. But by all accounts, they still had a good time. We've had up to a dozen folks show up for these things. Again, we've only got like 5-6 hours to work with, so we're not getting out any kind of monster games or something massive set up at all. But we've had a lot of the lighter war games, whether it was Ogre or Ars Victor or Memoir 44 or Undaunted. We did get a game of Zermatt in last time. We did a game of Bayonets and Tomahawks one time. And Mike, you're right. It's a really fun game. That has got to be one of the worst player aid cards I've ever seen in my life. There's so much crap crammed onto that thing, and not in sensible places because they just needed to find space to fit it all on there. It hurt. But at Buckeye Game Fest, we brought along Brief Border Wars and then had that again at Origins. That's a great lighter convention game. I've brought it with me to Gamers Armory, and we did get one game on the table at Gamers Armory with that one as well. It's a great lighter game because you can learn it pretty quick, and like all the other quad series games out there, once you've got the standard mechanics down for one game, you can play any of the four pretty easily in there. And you've got four pretty diverse options to choose from. Tank on Tank has hit the table at Wargame Day, and we had that one at Jeff Con. And I mean, Mike, you'll attest to this. We had somebody at every one of those events, and we had repeat customers. We had folks coming back. Yeah. So that was pretty cool that folks were having a good enough time that they came back to a subsequent event to play some more. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was actually one good thing to see. It was as we had these games set up that people would come by and express an interest in what we were doing, and it was people that younger people even that you wouldn't expect that would have any interest at all in some of the stuff we were running. We're like, hey, what is this? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the crowd I had show up Friday night for the Friday night session of Tank on Tank were not wargamers at all.
Was that the family?
Yeah, that was the family that was there. They definitely were not.
They were having a good time though.
They had a good time. When they walked up, I was a little, you guys in the right place? Part of the problem was Jeff Con categorized us as miniatures instead of, the board games, even though we're doing wargaming stuff. I think they just thought war games equal mini. I don't know if it's, there's some British guy making the decision or what, but that they didn't let that get in the way of them having a good time. So we had simultaneous games of Tank on Tank going on 2 tables, and they traded opponents and played another round and had a good time and came back and thanked us for it again the next day. And so that was cool. That was fun to see. Your dude who sat down and played the Commands and Colors Tricorn with you is already registered for the forums and popped in and said hi there. So that's and that's been fun. On the digital front, we've had OJ's dad. How many Civ 6 games am I in with you? 2? I don't think you're in all 3 of them, are you?
No, I think we have 3 right now.
Yeah. So I think you and I might be the only ones that are in all 3, maybe. I'm not sure.
So I've got to ask OJ's dad, is Civilization working? Because I know that I saw on Steam that there were some issues with the latest DLC.
I haven't had any trouble with it, but I haven't had any trouble.
Okay.
Brant, I think you kind of threw a question out there about Cyrano, Jim doing that, and he actually tried it. He and Velker, myself, and Command Tent had a game going, and we got 40, 50 turns in maybe, and we had a corrupted file. That we false, and he's just like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not playing around and messing around. And in some ways, I understand it, right? I mean, Firaxis isn't exactly a small publisher. They shouldn't be having these issues.
Yeah. Nah, I'm with you. I get it.
One of our games right now is in that status, and we just haven't had time to sit down as a group to try to recover it.
That's what I was saying. They're getting hammered now on the discussion forums on Steam for the release of this latest DLC.
This isn't something new. This has been going on the year and a half that I've been doing Civ 6 multiplayer games with this group.
This is the 3rd or 4th time we've had a corrupted save file across all the different ones that I've played in. The challenge we've had with this one is just trying to find a common schedule point at which we can get 5 different people all online at the same time, because you got to have everybody there to re-enter the game sequentially and stay in the game in order to get it to relaunch. And then once you're to that point, then the save is good and you can keep going from there.
Right.
This is going to sound incredibly obnoxious, but on the other hand, I kind of don't care because I was doing well. But the game that's corrupted, I'm honestly not 100% sure it's worth salvaging at this point. And Mike's chuckling for a reason. The 4 different score components that we had on there, there are 5 of them on there, and I'm running away with 4 of them. And not particularly close. And some of it was dumb luck. Some of it was because I had one AI player on the same continent with me, and I was able to knock him out very early. And that allowed me to double my number of cities faster than anybody else, because I stole 3 from the guy I conquered on top of the 3 I already had when everybody else was barely, founding their 3rd and 4th cities. I had already doubled my city count, and it just balloon from there. And so the combination of having my own chunk of land I now had entirely to myself and having a head start on number of cities compared to everybody else, the lead has just grown like crazy. So, would it be cool to go ahead and restart it all just so I can watch the victory screen play through at the end of the game? Yeah, sure. But, even just looking at the military strength stats, I think I'm stronger than like the next 3 of y'all combined, just because, again, I had the head start on that many cities. So
Vance wasn't playing in this game?
He is.
Okay.
He is. And he had just picked a fight with me right before the save corruption happened. And it's funny because Vance in the discussion thread around this that's on Steam in the Steam chat room, Vance tried saying, it's nothing personal. And I said what we were probably all thinking, which is, oh yeah, it is.
As the Armchair Dragoons march into the 9th season of their podcast, mentioned in dispatches, we need to make time to thank our Patreon supporters who pledged at the regimental patron level. So a heartfelt thanks to Patrick Garrity, Mike Quigley, Joseph Knoll, Hethwill Wargames, Robert, Kevin Bertram, Chet Bell, Treb Curry, Staggerwing, and Patrick Mullen for their support of the Armchair Dragoons and helping us to bring you the best strategy gaming content on the web. You too can sign up as a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/armchairdragoons.
Guys, let's go once more around the table with some holiday wargaming wishes, and then we'll wrap up season 9 here. Mike, OJ's dad, you got another one for us? You got another holiday wargaming wish you would like to drop on the wargaming world or any particular person in the wargaming world out there?
Hoping Compass gets Schutztruppen released here in 2023.
Yeah. Not long after we recorded the Compass Games podcast, I did get a message from Mo. I don't know how widely known this might be. The original designer on Schutztruppen passed away like a year or two ago.
I did not know that.
So there have been a bunch of folks trying to work from his playtest notes plus their own involvement in the development to finish the design work on it. But the original designer passed away. And I didn't know this. And I don't think any of us knew that when we've been discussing it on the podcast, just with how long it was taking for that to come out. But I think that's what's going on, and that doesn't seem like an unreasonable reason for delay.
No, it doesn't. And we talked about it on the podcast, right? With COVID and everything else, you expected some delays. It just unfortunately, there's nothing out here on the game's webpage to indicate something of that nature and explain to people, hey, this is why it's been going on 3 years now that you've prepaid for this and we don't have it out to you yet.
Yeah.
You
know, again, Mo's explanation made perfect sense. I'm thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Is why didn't somebody let you know that?
Right. And I'll be honest, it could. I don't think it was buried in an email, because when I searched my emails for the game title a while ago, I don't remember seeing anything pop up about that. But again, like I said, it's right here on the product page is where they should be putting something like that. And it's a bad subject to have to deal with. But then again, people have money wrapped up into this already.
Yeah. No, totally understand.
Which and just to be clear there, I know people don't usually pay until they actually start shipping those. I paid already because I'd ordered that along with games that were shipping at the time that were in stock. So the way the financing worked is that got that charged to me immediately. So a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, I think the entire process by which you went through the purchase decision and execution all makes sense. I think the issue of having a designer who's now passed away and somebody trying to finish their work makes sense. I think some communication in between probably would have been helpful. So, but as we've pointed out before, wargame companies in the large are not always known for, having all that particularly great a stellar PR crew working for them, when most of them are shoestring operations and part-time operations, and they've got 3 people doing 9 jobs.
Yep. And I will throw this out. Compass does a weekly town hall, and maybe it got talked about on the town hall. I don't usually get a chance to listen to the town halls because a lot of times I'm involved with the game with Jim. And I'm usually not going back and listening to a lot of these YouTubes after the fact, I'll be honest with, not just the Compass one, but a lot of them, just don't always have time to sit there and say, okay, let's go back and play this over again. So if it got mentioned there, just something I had no idea about.
I will say one of the nice things with YouTube is you can watch them on slightly faster speed, 1.25 or 1.5. And there's a lot that you can absorb at that point. And particularly if you're just listening for one specific facet of the show, it's very easy to put it on higher speed until you hear, some particular trigger word pop up that, oh yeah, that's the part I want to hear. Slow it down, back it up a couple of seconds, and then pick up and go from there. So that is a helpful way to get through shows like Mo's Whiskey Charlie that they were on live earlier tonight. Tomorrow I'll pull Whiskey Charlie up and put it on in the background, maybe while I'm cooking breakfast or something, and just put Mo on like 1.25 speed and let it go. And the other great thing is, because it's digital, not analog, they don't sound like the Chipmunks. It just sounds like Mo talking really fast. It sounds like he's got the Micro Machines guys on the show with him. But OJ's dad, any other holiday wargaming wishes you'd like to toss out there?
No, don't think so.
What are you most looking forward to in 2023 for wargaming?
What am I looking forward to the most? Honestly, I'm not sure right now.
Yeah. The right answer was supposed to be coming and hanging out with us at Buckeye Game Fest. Come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Brian, any
Yes,
other
sir.
holiday wargaming wishes you want to bestow upon the greater wargaming world?
Well, I'm still waiting on Empires in Arms to be reprinted. It's never going to happen. Still waiting. I did hear, I think I heard through the rumor mill, the other game that I wanted to see remade, not Avalon Hill, Victory Games Civil War is being reprinted by somebody, I believe. At least I think I heard that. I'm old. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I dreamed that. I don't know. But like to see both of those be reprinted. But by and large, I mean, the world we're living in now, I think we're at peak war game. There are more war games coming out now than at any time in history. It's hard to even keep up with everything. You know, I'm sure Mike could tell you that, you know, the amount of games, you just can't. I mean, he pretty much on his channel focuses, you know, on a game for a couple weeks. By doing that, you're missing out on a lot. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because he's one of the few that actually, you know, puts the effort in and, you know, to go into detail into games. A lot of what we're seeing now on YouTube channels is basically, oh, here's the latest one. Open it up, show it to you. And that's the last you'll ever see of it, you know, because there's another one coming out the next day. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how many games are coming out and how frequent. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot to complain about as far as, you know, in the world of wargaming nowadays. I don't think we'll ever see again it being like this. It's almost like you know, we have so many television channels now that it's actually hard to find the diamonds in the rough of, you know, what you want to watch. And it's kind of getting that way with wargaming. What is the diamonds in the rough? You know, hard to find now.
Just make a post on Twitter about how great you think a specific game is, and then watch all the reactions telling you about how game X or game Y is so much better, and there are your diamonds in the rough.
But
that's how it's supposed to work, right?
Yes. I don't know. Like I said, it's just so much. I mean, just look at all the P500 games. Go to the what's coming up from Compass Games. The inundation, and you know, I'm just talking about the two biggest companies. You know, you throw in everybody else, and my God, it's hard to keep up. You know, there was a time period when I was younger where, you know, you pretty much knew every game that was coming out.
Yeah, because Avalon Hill can only do 4 a year.
Exactly. So nowadays, it's something. I'm not sure it's necessarily, you know, for the better, but it is what it is. So
yep, definitely. Mike, BB Mike, any last holiday wargaming wishes you wish to bestow upon the wargaming world, and or looking ahead to 2023?
Well, I mean, in spite of what Brian just said about being swamped with games, I'll harp on reprints again. I'd love to see some games reprinted that are out of print to have even more choices to choose from. You know, one big wish we ought to be wishing for, I guess, is that all the shipping issues get resolved so that, you know, these things get shipped faster, and pricing for our friends across the pond and north of the wall are better. I'd like to see that. I'm sure they would too.
Well, you know, Mike, you just made me think that GMT just had their big sale, right? You know, everybody was talking about it.
As we are recording this, it ended 22 hours ago.
Okay. Well, I went looking, you know, I'm thinking maybe I'll make a few purchases. I couldn't find one game that was actually in stock that I wanted. So
I might have done the same thing. But then I went and looked at my order history, and it was all in there. So,
well, that'll do it to you.
Well, and you do have other sources. Noble Knight's got a sale going on right now. You know, Compass's sales goes on forever.
No Hit Tuesday Newsday. We moved the sales section to the top for this week's Tuesday Newsday because there's so damn many of them.
You know who didn't have a sale? You know who didn't have a sale, and they will now because I bought a couple of games. White Dog Games.
Yes, they might. Although
now that they might purchase, they probably will.
I imagine that Steve has probably asked that White Dog kindly delay their sale until Hollandaise is done, because whenever the Hollandaise sale goes on, Hollandspiel ends up dominating Blue Panther's production queue for about 6 weeks, to the point where both Amabel and Steve have talked about Steve brings in extra help when the Hollandaise sale is going on so that he can run the machines longer throughout the day just to try and keep up.
I wonder if he'll sell me one of his machines so I can just print my own.
Or rent it out to you at least.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
You're retiring soon. Go work for him.
We can do weekend at Steve's. We can just go to his place and print out games and play them. I like that.
Yeah. So I did have Leaping Lemmings in the cart, not because it's necessarily all that wargamey, but because I thought it'd be fun, something fun to play with the family here. There's a house copy over at Gamers Armory. My son actually learned to play from Rick, the designer, back when Rick lived here in town. Rick has since moved out of the area, but it was always a fun one that we could play that the younger kids get a kick out of. And it's lemmings that are trying to dash across the field around the cliff, avoid the eagles that are trying to snatch them up and eat them, and then have the biggest, most impressive cliff dive off of the cliff to their death. And so as you can time your moves and try and get those big 5-point jumps off the cliff, that increases your score for your lemmings trying to escape. But it does teach some pretty good war game concepts in there. You got zones of control with the way the eagles are circling. You do have cover and concealment because the lemmings can hide in the bushes. You do have movement rates you have to worry about. So I mean, it's there's some war game concepts in there, even though it's essentially a game of competitive suicide. So I had that one in the cart. Mike, looking ahead to 2023, what do you got?
You talking to me?
Yes, you were the one we were talking
looking at it. Well, okay, so all the things that I just mentioned that were all the things I just mentioned that were in my my pre-orders from GMT and Compass too, for that matter. And in fact, one of them was one that Brian mentioned, Paths of Glory. I've heard great things about that game, and it's been out of print for so long that I jumped on that. So I think it's probably at the printers now, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. One that is not a war game and is coming in at a weight of 36 pounds.
Holy
is
crap.
Frosthaven.
Yep.
36 pounds. So that's going to be probably another 1.5 to 2 years of gaming with the wife. So that'll be fun. I'm trying to think of that. There's just a ton of stuff I'm waiting for.
Is it really going to drag out a 1.5 when you're going to be retired?
Yes, because she's not. And it's probably going to take longer than that because this game is much larger in scope than Gloomhaven was. So
That's hard to believe.
I know, right? Until you realize that the Gloomhaven box didn't weigh 36 pounds.
That's that.
I'm just hoping that
would seem completely improbable, but today you just kind of shrug and go, "Yeah, I guess so."
I'm just hoping that the mailman in Ardwolf's old neighborhood, when he quit his job to move down here to start working in the mail department, doesn't get my route to deliver that, because he's going to go crazy again if he does.
Probably. So, BB Mike, conventions for 2023?
They're all, up in the air, but I'm looking at Origins and Buckeye Game Fest, but I haven't been invited yet.
I mean, you haven't been invited. Hey, Mike, why don't you come to Buckeye Game Fest?
And there's, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting year for conventions for me. But those two for sure, I hope.
Yeah, I think Buckeye Game Fest lands a little too close to Washington. That trying to do both would be tough.
And remember, Trader Brian's Tiki Bar and Rum Grotto is usually on your way to Columbus.
Oh, wait a minute. So if I go through Tennessee, I can stop by Steve's too.
I'm not. You guys, your definition of on the way is kind of like those old family circus cartoons watching Billy walk around the yard where they've got the little dots racing him through the cartoon.
Well, we're planning on taking the Armchair Dragoons bus, right? So we can just kind of cruise around and pick up people and head to Columbus.
It's probably a minivan.
While you're doing that, swing by Carolina Game Tables and pick up one or two of those that we can use in our booth area to show off. Because Clint and Jody have said that they're willing to let us use a couple, but we got to move them.
Yeah, okay. Have you ever picked up one of those things? Because I have.
There's a reason I was telling you to go do it, so that I don't have to. Because yes, those things are quite enormous, and
they are built to last. So, they are real wood and built to last. They're awesome, actually.
brief war story digression. BB Mike, were you there when at Origins this past year when Gary had his wife there come to check him out and then was telling everybody about him afterwards?
Yes.
Where he described these things as a wharf made of Roman concrete. And for whatever reason, that tickled the perfect amount of funny bone at exactly the wrong time.
Yeah.
The wrong time being I had just taken a large swig of Diet Dr. Pepper. And it was a perfect Marx Brothers movie spit take.
It wasn't perfect if you were Ardwolf.
Like people.
I'll still randomly break out in laughter over that. I would give it anything to have that on video.
Yeah, sure. The fact that we're laughing about it and Brian and Mike are ready to hang up on us probably tells you how not funny this is to anybody that wasn't there.
And I'm just sitting there because, I know Ardwolf, but I don't know him that well. I'm just like, how in the hell is he going to take this? Is he going to get up and kill Brand?
The thought did cross Brand's mind.
But he took it well. He really did.
We all laughed about it quite a bit for the rest of the weekend, which was better than Brant being dead. Yes, those tables are fairly indestructible and are heavy as hell, which again is why I said, why don't you go pick one up and bring it to Origins so I don't have to.
I'm not sure that would fit in the Armchair Dragoons bus, honestly.
Yeah, it's a fair point. My wargaming wish sort of ties in with my whole looking ahead to 2023, and that is we've now. So I used to live in Columbus. Columbus Area Board Gaming Society is CABS is the largest regular meeting game club, not just war game, but board game club on the planet. They've claimed that for any number of years, and nobody's got any proof to contradict them with it. So they're going to continue to run with it. You get a lot of these smaller local conventions, get 100, 150, 200 people show up for a convention weekend. 150 people at CABS is Friday night. I mean, that's just that's a regular Friday night meeting for CABS. I am convinced that the Raleigh area where I live now, where I've been for the last 12, 13 years, almost 15 years now, has as many tabletop gamers and war gamers as the Columbus area does. I'm convinced that we've got just as many here as they do there. We just suck at getting organized. And so what I'm really hoping is that over the course of the next year, both my wargaming wish for the wargaming world and my holiday wish for the wargaming world and my looking ahead to 2023 is that the wargaming community in this area gets a little more organized and a little more pulled together such that we've got regular, not just the regular meetups that we do at Gamers Armory, but we're able to organize some impromptu stuff, some recurring games. Maybe we get 2 or 3 nights in a row that we're able to hit Gamers Armory for a larger monster game where I think they'd be willing to let us leave something set up if we're going to be there 2 or 3 nights in a row, kind of protect the table for us. They're not going to leave a table in the store protected for like months on end for us to come in once a week. There's no way, and we wouldn't expect that or ask that of them. But if we came in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights, 3 nights in a row to get a big monster game done, I think they'd be willing to work with us on something like that, or find some other place in the community around here where we might be able to set up and leave something like that for a little while. I would like to see the wargaming community around here get more organized so we've got a wider array of opponents for some real world meetups, some real world wargaming, and actually get a real legitimate community group going here similar to what they've got at CABS. Because I think even the war game portion of CABS is a really cool thing that folks can find a lot of games. There's a good entry point for helping new gamers get into wargaming and for helping folks that are new to town find other wargamers. I would like to be able to replicate that here, and I hope that we can make some strides towards that in the upcoming year. Beyond that, the other thing to look forward to in 2023, our next Armchair Dragoons Digital Convention, the ACDC. We're going to have some information coming out here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be about the next week, maybe a little less. It will be MLK weekend here in the U.S. That's 13 to 15 January. The 16th is actually the MLK holiday. We're not going to stretch the gaming into Monday, so everybody gets that day off, that actual holiday off, whether they've got some service organization, something or other ways in which they're observing the holiday, go for it. But we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday lined up for games and talk shows and some of the presentations and some of the other happy hours and other fun stuff we do. And that is our plan, is to run 13, 14, 15 January. We'll be our next Armchair Dragoons digital convention. That is the same weekend as a couple of other conventions, most notably Winter Offensive, which is MMP's house convention up in Baltimore. If you want to Winter Offensive and play ASL for the weekend, have a blast. You guys go enjoy the hell out of it. We're sorry we will miss you at the ACDC, but go have a good time playing some war games. Those of you that are not going to Winter Offensive or one of the other conventions that weekend, look, you can do the ACDC from literally anywhere with a web connection. Come join us, play war games in your pajamas. Mike, OJ's dad, will tell you that we've gotten pretty good at teaching folks what to do with Tabletop Simulator and how to play some war games there. So please come join us for that. And shortly after the ACDC is when we will fire up season 10 of our podcast. In the meantime, I think this kind of puts a bow on season 9. Guys, we are now over 100 episodes of Mention and Dispatches. This is more podcasts than we've ever done anywhere else before, which is kind of cool. And I think this now means we are eligible for network syndication, which I think puts us on at like 3 a.m. on the CW. Is that not right? Is that when we're going to be on broadcast here?
Laugh Network just after Home Improvement.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a call from UPN. They want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I only said that because I was watching Home Improvement right before we started this.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that for years.
Yeah, it'll be on Laugh or MeTV or like one of those digital sub channels that only us dorks with antennas ever even know exists. You know, we'll be the 2 a.m. filler content on Grit TV, you know, something like that. But anyway, Brian, thank you very much for being here and joining us. Mike, thank you very much for being here and joining us. And other Mike, thank you very much for being here and joining us. And I think my goal for next podcast season is to not have two people with the same name on any podcast so that we don't end up with that confusion of, wait, you talking to me?
You've said that before.
Yeah, I know. And I keep screwing it up, don't I?
Well, there's a lot of mics.
Tells you how good my follow through is on this.
So Mike, we just been kicked off the podcast.
This isn't surprising considering this is the guy who won't change Tuesday Newsday to Thursday because it rhymes. So
you know that as soon as I change Tuesday Newsday to Thursday, that suddenly every war game product announcement is going to go out Thursday at 6 p.m. You know goddamn good and well that's exactly what will happen.
Sounds like you ought to publish it on Saturday morning just to avoid any publishers trumping you later.
Yeah, that would entail waking up on Saturday morning. I'd rather not if I could help it. In any event, audience, thank you very much for sticking with us through season 9 of Mention and Dispatches here. Please come hang out with us at the Dragoons. We'll probably get a live stream or two up sometime over the holidays, just for kicks, right? Let's all grab a holiday themed beverage and flip on the cameras and just goof off on YouTube for an hour or two. Probably do that once or twice over the holidays. In the meantime, we look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at the ACDC before we fire up season 10 of the podcast after the new year. And again, Buckeye Game Fest will have an official Armchair Dragoons presence. Origins will have an official Armchair Dragoons presence. Beyond that, we're not really sure. The successor to Mace will be Mythic Con. We might try to do something with those guys. We might look at some other new convention to go invade and take over. But in any event, we hope to see as many Dragoons as possible join us for the ride down the line. So for everybody, thanks for sticking with us through 2022. Look forward to seeing you in 2023. And guys, everybody go have a beautiful evening and a great holiday season.